How do you go from an animal doctor to a note expert? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool TV, where every week we bring you the most amazing content and the most amazing guests. And, well, as you've probably gleaned from my teaser there, that, well, our guest this week is he's an animal doctor. He's a veterinarian. So we'll talk about and we'll bring on our guest here in just a minute. But before we do, three things. Number one, make sure and like what you see, right? Just hit that like button. And also, just go in and make sure that you subscribe if you have not already done so to the NoteSchool TV channel. Yep, just go ahead and hit subscribe. And then finally, hit that bell notification, right? Go ahead, boom. Hit it now if you haven't already done so that you'll be, reminded before we go live every week. When? At 11:05 Central Time. So also, a couple of other things, a couple of favors for Eddie and I. Number one, keep those comments coming. Guys, we truly appreciate you guys, sending in your comments on the guest or some of the news articles that we present. So please keep those coming. And questions. Right? Go ahead and send in your questions. Just go to noteschool.com/TV. We would love to have a conversation with you about getting you into one of our one day or our half day masterclass, right? So we'd love to have you in one of those, and so you can see what NoteSchool is all about. So with that, let's go to the news. So this week in the news, the first article that I've pulled up here from Redfin News is that a record share of home sellers are giving concessions to buyers. Now, this was over the last quarter of 2022. And remember that a few months ago, a house would go on the market for $400,000 and it would sell within 7 days for $450,000, right? So today, sellers are having to give in to some of the buyer's concessions. So the blue line on the top here is 42% of the sales had some type of concession. We go to the green line, had concessions and sold below asking price. Okay, so this was some kind of concession, gave them an allowance for a new roof or new appliances or whatever it is. And then the green line is concessions and dropped the sales price. The yellow is had concessions and a price drop. And then the red line is concessions, price drop, and sold below asking price. So, yeah, that's what's going on out there in the business. And again, that is a 3-month rolling average based on Redfin's information. And then secondly, luxury and investment home sales dipped nearly 40%. So guys, you see here when we look at the timeline, and this is right here when the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. Okay, so that's why we saw this big drop here. But then as we move forward, we come way up here. And then you can tell that as 2022 kind of rolled on, prices continued to decline, or sales declined as well as prices. And boom, down 38% on the luxury side. And on the non-luxury side, which is the gray side, is the gray line, which is 31.4%. So guys, this is what we're in store for this year. And again, we bring you this information so that you will be aware of what's going on out there in the marketplace. But we would never show you this if we did not know that, we know that we have the answers as to how you can profit, how you can benefit in this type of environment. So with that, well, that's the end of the news, but I want to bring on my friend, our head chief visionary and founder of NoteSchool, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Well, thank you, Joe. And today we have a great guest, as Joe mentioned. He is a veterinarian, and he has added the note business and really creative financing to his business. And I'm excited to hear how this melts together and how he's done it so successfully. You guys welcome Dr. Gary Nye.
Hey, Eddie. How you doing today?
Hey, Doc. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great.
So, you know, I have a special place in my heart for your chosen profession of a veterinarian because I'm a long cowboy, right?
Right. Yes.
And worked around a lot of veterinarians in my life. And by the way, a lot of veterinarians, their hobby was roping. So I've been personal friends with a whole lot of veterinarians in my life. So I know that in that career, you've had to work really hard.
Yeah, you know, the first 2/3 of my career I spent doing primarily equine work. So a little bit of a physical effort there for sure. And last half I've been a little bit more in the hospital these days. I do a lot of small animal along with some equine work, but you know, totally natural practice now. I don't do conventional work anymore. So that's been, you know, something I took on during my career and learned. So I'm all about new challenges and taking on new learning experiences. So.
Well, you're certainly not NoteSchool's first veterinarian that became a NoteSchool member. So I'm kind of curious, welcome to the NoteSchool family, number one.
Sure.
And what made you check us out?
You know, over probably the last 20 years, I've delved into real estate on a few different occasions and gotten a fair amount of training with the so-called experts around the country and stuff. And you know, every one of them was, for the most part, pushing you to be a landlord. And, you know, it's just, there was something there that just told me that wasn't what I want it to be. But as we've been successful in, my wife and I, she's a veterinarian as well, and as we've been successful in our careers, you know, amassing some capital resources that I wanted to get out there and get them deployed. And I knew real estate was a great area to do that, just didn't know how to do it and how to move forward with that. And our local RIA here had a member of NoteSchool come up and speak, and you know, I just that night, right off the bat, I mean, it just all clicked. It made perfect sense. You don't have to own the real estate. You can be the bank and you know, have that mostly passive income and provide you know, the input as you had the time or wanted to do it. And that just all fit with what I wanted to do, and so started pursuing it from there. Signed up that night for the one day that they did on Saturday, and then the 3-day right after that. So,
you know, I've asked this question, Gary. I must have asked this in front of 100,000 people in my career of having NoteSchool. Would you rather be a landlord or the bank? And pretty much without fail, I know the answer to the question.
oh yeah, yeah.
And certainly in your case, because a lot of people that watch these shows and watch what we do, that's kind of what they're thinking, right? They're kind of thinking this in their mind, like, I'm too busy to do this. And I seriously doubt we have a lot of people watching that's probably busier than you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a pretty cool story. So tell us a little bit, when you're joining, what were some of your biggest challenges before you joined? Like what did you try to go buy some rentals, or what did that look like?
Well, I never got to the point where I went out and bought rentals for the specific purpose of being a landlord, but I backed into a couple of houses where we had bought some property that we were going to build a new hospital on. And They were, it was single family, a couple of lots that we had converted over to commercial. And so the renters that were there, or until we moved ahead with the project, we just kept renters in the properties. Well, that was, that showed me the headaches right there. I got a good lesson right off the bat without actually sticking other resources into owning that property. And one of the renters burnt one of the houses down. Another one and she was actually an employee of ours, and she didn't treat the house any better than the other renter did. So in the end, it really gave me a clear picture that wasn't the part of real estate that I wanted to focus on.
We've had people ask us a lot, like, if I have not been as successful in real estate as I wanted to be, how could I be successful in notes? How would you answer that?
I think that it takes a different mindset. Typical American is hardworking guy that wants to go out and create something, earn something, or whatever the case is. And so being that landlord, doing that flip, doing that remodel, I think a lot of them, they relate to that and want to do something like that. It's only after they've been in it for a while that they realize that there's a lot of headaches that come along with that. Well, I've worked hard through my career, and, I want something that, with what we've been able to build, that I could do in a more passive form. And, not to say that I don't want to have to put any effort in at all, because I know I do. Anything I've ever taken on as a challenge and has been new, I need to educate myself and learn about that. And once I get there, I can see from, what has been presented at NoteSchool that the payoff is there when you learn how to do the job well. And so it will definitely pay off. I'm a long-term guy. I've taken on a number of challenges in my life and built things from the ground up, including our current business. And I'm taking that same approach with notes, and I want to bring my kids into it as well. So we'll build this over time, and it will allow us then to deploy assets and not have to reduce lifestyle when we decide to get out of veterinary medicine.
Well, I think that one of the things that we've tried to do in NoteSchool is understand the obstacles that people have and build some efficiencies so that there's things that we can help people do or show people how to do, give them that, give them some efficiency that would be kind of difficult for them to go do on their own. And that makes the implementation better. If somebody just says, go do this, and you don't have any resources or structure or back office or whatever that looks like, then sometimes that's difficult. So I guess I would say, since you've been in NoteSchool, what has life been like? What has that journey looked like for you?
Well, like I mentioned a second ago, a lot of educating myself. NoteSchool does a great job of presenting the information, a wealth of information as well, that different avenues within the note space, you can home in on what fits you best, certainly. And like you mentioned, having those options there for the students to pursue and help them in developing their area of the note space, such as the Easy Deal Finder program. That's just been something that has really helped me get out there and market to using that tax strategy on these burnout landlords and market that to them through what you guys set up, and is allowing me to target those individuals that I want to work with and create some seller finance notes through, acquire that and then sell it on to that penalty box buyer. So, those things are there that NoteSchool created for me, and I have that opportunity then to utilize them to find my niche within the note space.
Let me tell you guys in the audience just a little bit so this makes a little more sense to you. We've figured out a lot of objections or a lot of roadblocks that students have, and we've tried to figure out ways that our members can utilize a vendor or some process so that they don't have to go do all this research and go develop this stuff. So we found vendors that could go find a list of landlords that are frustrated landlords probably, and that they're soliciting them. And this unique strategy means that if they carry owner financing over time, they potentially could sidestep having to pay capital gains. It's just a couple of tax loopholes that we figured out along the way. And so Gary then can show this landlord, hey, did you know if you carried this financing for me, you could sidestep having to pay the gain on what you bought the property for and now what you're selling it for, the profit. And then we have a vendor that can do direct mail and do that for him. So Gary didn't have to go figure all that out. It was kind of already in a box, so to speak. And Gary, you brought a deal to the Deal Lab. It's a pretty good looking deal. Where is that deal, by the way?
We're still working it. I've been doing this. I mailed the same list because I recognize you got to do it over and over and over again, just like in veterinary medicine. Owners don't always grasp what you're telling them. And I think the average is something like, 30 times. Sometimes you have to tell a person something before they will really grasp it. So we've been mailing to the same list. I started out, I wanted to do it here locally in our area so that, if there were some details that I could handle them with folks I knew locally and so on. But I've had a few responses from that. I think our area of the country tends to lag behind. We're a pretty small, conservative area of the country, and we tend to lag behind some of the bigger areas around the country in real estate and economy and so on. So I'm seeing the market conditions change to where these landlords are starting to have some urgency in what they want to accomplish before the price of the real estate comes down too much. So the most recent one, burnout landlord, he's got 5 houses. He's approached me on one of them to this point. We're still working that. His wife kind of put the clamps on him and said, you're going to wait until the end of the lease before you get out of this, because he was ready to cut and run then when I talked to him back in December. And so we're on hold till about April and trying to work this one through and get it to completion. But that was the first one that I think was serious. And as those market conditions change, we're going to see some more because I keep pounding this same list. And there's and I'm in targeting a specific price range of house as well that I want to work in. I don't want to work in those lower rent houses and stuff. I want good quality homes that I can sell to those individuals on the buy side with seller financing and give them a quality home. So those are who I'm targeting, and they've been a little more, I think, reluctant to move yet, wanting to see what the economy was going to do. But most of them, like you said, the list gives me the opportunity to target these guys that are free and clear on their properties, and they're maybe in a position because they're getting to the end of their working careers, and now they're wanting to get out of them, and they don't want to have to pay the capital gains on all that appreciation that they've had on that property over time.
Yeah, landlords, the hobbyist landlords, we call them, right? Just like your guy has 5 houses. In fact, that's the legal definition, 5 houses or less, right? And so that guy that called you, he has 5 houses, and the truth of the matter is he doesn't love his rentals. He loved the idea of the rentals. He loved the appreciation of the rentals, but he probably hates managing the rentals, and he's probably not really made a lot of cash flow from it. Be my guess.
Yep.
Not anything like what he thought he was going to make. And of course, you kind of know that, and you're marketing to him and repositioning.
That's been a common thread when I have talked to these different landlords, is they all think that they're actually netting more than they actually are. That's pretty common amongst them.
Well, they're getting rent every month, and then they forgot, oh, wait a minute, I had to put new carpet in it. Oh, I had to go put the air conditioner in it. And all of a sudden you add it up, and it's like it didn't make anything like the money they thought they were going to make. Right. But the market has appreciated, and then now, as you said, pretty much across the country right now, we're in a market where it appears, not every market, but most markets are in a declining value market, right? I mean, it's in the press every day. It's not just us saying it. I think we've reached a point of a real estate recession. Now we got to figure out how bad the recession is. And, but I think your guys are really doing that. When did you join NoteSchool?
It's in May of 2021. So been with you for a little over a year and a half now.
And so you're looking at it from all kind of different perspectives, buying defaulted notes, buying notes, working with creative financing on in areas like that. I guess I would say, you know, anytime you hear somebody that is looking for a coach or a mentor or a membership in any way, you're kind of looking for a little more of this and a little less of that. In your case, was that true? And if so, what was that?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, I needed that that area that would click with me first of all, and that was definitely what I saw when I saw the first presentation on notes. It just all made perfect sense. That light bulb moment, so to speak, when it goes on, and so that gave me the direction or the area of real estate that I wanted to focus on. And then it was a matter of, I've got to get trained to do this because this isn't my area of expertise, coming out of a profession that I've been in for 35 years. You know, I've spent my time doing that. Yes, my wife and I have bought and sold houses, our own personal residence, but I haven't worked in the industry. So there's a learning curve there for me that I need to educate myself. And so, you know, advice to folks, you know, wanting to learn this area, you've got to get good training. And that's something NoteSchool provides. And you've got to participate too. You've got to be willing to put in some time. And being a full-time veterinarian and business owner, you know, I've dedicated to carving out that time for myself, and I make it work. So it's definitely a doable thing, but you've got to participate. You've got to, you know, do the website training that you all have. You've got to participate in the deal labs, you know, the different live programs that you have each summer and each fall. You know, those are so critical to giving us the information we need to really round that knowledge base, and then really give us the motivation to get out there and put it into action. You guys do so many things, like with Pat Precord and you know, his motivational, you know, a weekly webinar that he does. I mean, it's just, you know, fantastic to help us motivate to get out there and take action.
We all want a certain thing, right? We want freedom. We want life freedom. We want financial freedom. We want all these freedoms. Mm-hmm. And then we wake up and realize that, you know, entrepreneurship, either full-time or part-time, in your case, you're a entrepreneur in the veterinary world, but outside of that, this is a very part-time thing. Mm-hmm. We all want that. But the reality is what we learned after teaching now for 20 years plus is like where people stumble and like how to put those stepping stones in those places to stop them from sinking and allow them to kind of get over the top of it. And I think that's what you're describing. Most of our NoteSchool members do this on a part-time basis. Now, sometimes sometimes they're retired, or sometimes they're, you know, have like a crazy full-time job like you, but, you know, like they may morph into this. I think one of the things that you're looking at on a long-term basis is kind of your next. Mm-hmm. And that is, you are saying, okay, if I sell my veterinary practice, can I work on this note business when I want to work on it and still it be highly financially rewarding? So talk about that.
Yeah, that's that was kind of the whole idea of wanting to deploy the resources that we've saved up over the years and get it working for us, so that as we near the end of our careers, working careers, And my wife's a little bit younger than me, so she'll probably work a little bit longer. I don't think she's ready to step out of veterinary medicine, and I certainly am not either. But I want it to be our choice, and not having to take a big hit in annual income and lifestyle just because we walk out away from the veterinary medicine. And I spent a lot of my time in veterinary medicine and academia, and I have a great love for teaching. And so I want to mentor someone to take over the natural side of the practice that I've built over many years now, and it has become a very successful part of our practice. And it's a growing area in veterinary medicine. So I want to mentor somebody to come along with that. And in doing so, having that income from the note side of real estate will help me be able to make that transition and act as that mentor for someone while not putting in all the hours in the hospital. And my wife, would certainly like to do that as well at some point. So, from that standpoint, shoring up our income so that we don't take a big hit. But, I have other reasons too. I've got two sons. One of them is college age. The other one is senior in high school. And I want to try to bring them in, and as I always like to say, teach them to fish instead of giving them the fish or the inheritance down the road. I'd rather they be able to produce it without having to work a backbreaking job out there during their lifetimes. Nothing wrong with that. I came from a farming background and stuff, and it's good learning for me, build character, but I want them to use their brain as well and be able to provide for them and their families. And then, lastly, the big why for me is giving back for all the blessings that we've had in our lives. I mean, it's, just immense blessings that sometimes we don't recognize till we're a little bit older in life, but the blessings have been there. And, I definitely feel strongly about giving back with that.
Well, as you know, I have 3 kids, and all 3 of my kids are very involved in the business. Yeah. One of my sons is full-time in the business. My son-in-law is full-time in the business. My other son, who's a fireman and paramedic, does it part-time. Mm-hmm. And then my daughter is a professional ballet dancer, but she's works in the business, off season. So pretty, and we're a 3rd generation, right? I learned the business from my father-in-law. So, I'm very big on the fact of saying this business, a lot of people have a house flipping business or a rental business. The truth of the matter is their kids don't want to inherit that because it's a grind, and it's as the saying goes, all that glitters ain't gold, And so I think you sort of see this business is not that grind, and there is some terrific wealth building strategies. So I think your sons will naturally do it. I think we have a culture in NoteSchool. We have a lot of young people that are, come along with their parents that get involved in these NoteSchool activities. And all of a sudden it's a pretty natural thing to do that. So I encourage you to do it. I think they're at the right age to consider it. And we will continue to do that. So I encourage you to bring your kids to some NoteSchool events. I think they'll, that's something I would exploit really well. Mm-hmm. The last thing I guess I want to talk about is, it's fine to show people how to make a lot of money. We've been doing this a long time. We've seen hundreds of thousands of transactions and closed tens of thousands for sure. But, experience matters and all that stuff. And obviously if you're being a veterinarian, you know how much that means. Gray hair sometimes does matter, right? Right. And, but the most important thing to me that I wanted when we built NoteSchool was environment, community, an ecosystem. And I guess I would like to see from your perspective, have we accomplished that?
Oh, I think so. I can absolutely say that the level of comfort that I had, really from the very first presentation again at our RIA group, and certainly through the 3-day class and the onboarding and the live events that I've attended since then, and the deal lab stuff, it's very much a family atmosphere. I think I said that when I was on stage at Summer Summit last year. But beyond that, it is I see it as a very sincere desire from everyone at NoteSchool to see that the students succeed. And the wealth of things that you make available to us, I mean, the value is certainly there for the membership, and it does come across as a very sincere desire to see us succeed.
Well, I built NoteSchool on the premise that I could do a lot of business with people if I essentially taught them things about the business in a more efficient way than the School of Hard Knocks. Right. And so that was clearly my desire. And I think we were targeting a certain profile of a student. And I think family is a good word. That was what we desired to build, was a NoteSchool family. And we call ourselves that. And we're slightly dysfunctional, but we're not very dysfunctional. Right. There's some of us that are a little more dysfunctional than others, but we're pretty solid group. I think we represent what I hope a membership or a network or something represents. Ethics is clearly something that we push, and it's something that our members push. I mean, like that it means a lot. Like, we can do good. Like you said, we can be a giant go-giver. And when you learn to make a lot of money, then you can be very benevolent. And that benevolence allows you to touch a lot of lives.
Yeah.
It's the ability to make a lot of money, the ability to then go do something with the money other than just make it about yourself. Doesn't mean it can't make yourself a lot better. And then all of a sudden it just starts propelling itself. And so I think I know you did a little write-up of kind of what you wanted to talk about, like the things that you thought mattered. And I glean that because you focused on the fact that family, your family and our NoteSchool family, and those are things, and that we were focused on the right principles. So congratulations on you and your wife having a very successful veterinary business, and congratulations on a next chapter, which I think is all of these things that you're doing in the note space.
Yes. No, thank you very much. I really thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thank you for, everything that you've provided me as a student, and will continue to, as we go forward in years here. And I'm looking to very successful participation and getting my sons involved so they can carry it on for the second generation in our family. So.
That's it. Well, Gary, congratulations. By the way, tell us what town you live in.
Springfield, Missouri. So
okay, middle America.
Yep, flyover country in a lot of cases, but yeah, we're middle America. Yep,
that's great. Well, great story. Thank you for being here. I've enjoyed all of our dealings together, as I will continue to. And God bless you and your family in 2023. And we'll look forward to some updates on your story.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Gary. Well, Joe, what do you think, sir?
Well, you know what? A couple of things come to mind here, and listening to Gary's story, and Gary, thanks so much. I mean, Gary is the personification of NoteSchool, right? Someone who wants something different. But one of the things I've always heard is that, or always went by, is to those that much is given, much is required. So that's that benevolent part of that. But and Eddie, you and I have talked about this many times, and that's the part that, some of the best friends that we've had over our lifetimes, you being in this business since 1980 and me since 1990, is the folks that we've met right here inside of NoteSchool. And that ecosystem is an amazing thing. And I delight in that, it's a great thing. So Gary, you've been very successful and in what you're doing, and no doubt as you continue to build this, you'll gain that success in this as well. But it always is a learning curve. So there you go.
Gary, thank you, sir. We are so glad to have you, and Joe, I'm going to let you close us out.
Very good. So, guys, thanks so much for being with us this week, our second episode of 2023. We are excited to have you. And again, if you would like more information on what we do at NoteSchool, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. And we would be glad to have a conversation with you, have an email conversation with you, whatever it is. And we'd love to see you in one of our one-day master classes very soon. And you can find out about that as well by going to noteschool.com/TV. And then finally, keep those comments, those questions coming for us. We really like to hear how this is impacting you and what we can do for you as well. So with that, we will see you on our next episode. Well, we'll see you same place, same time next Wednesday at 11:05 p.m. or a.m. And remember, our motto at NoteSchool is we show you how to close more deals. See you next week.